Well, hello, fearless ones. I was thinking about that word, just fear less. And I want to just start off by saying that you are someone this year who is going to fear far less than you ever have before. This is a year that you're going to be so filled and consumed with the love of God that fear has no place in you. When I think about the things that I've been shut down the most about or held back the most in life, it usually always was something that I was scared about. If I got to the root of it, you can feel surface emotions like anger and even disappointment and frustration. If you usually go to the core of those issues, you can find a heart that's just scared, a place in you that is fearful. And as we talked about yesterday, perfect love casts out all fear. And we looked at 1 John 4:18, and one of those verses connected to that. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear because fear involves punishment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. So when we talk about not being made perfect in love, it's implying that there's a process to us learning how to be loved and learning how to love others. And again, you can't give away what you don't have. And so when you see yourself in moments of fear, this is a year where we want to train ourselves to pause on the inside and ask ourselves the deeper question: what are you afraid of? I remember years ago when Johnny and I would have conflict, and in our relationship, I realized that about myself, and I told him, I said, I think something that could be a tool for you, because I think sometimes it helps to set someone up that you love for success, set them up for success by telling them how to make it go more smoothly in the future. And so I would tell him, I just need you to sometimes ask me when I'm like out of my mind and I'm just clearly reacting to something. Ask me what I'm afraid of. And I feel like that will like take me to that deeper place where we can bypass all of my drama, my fear, and get to the root of something. And I think it's that way for each one of us. It's a tool that we can use for ourselves to ask ourselves in a given situation or relationship or a moment, what are you really afraid of? And then let love, God Himself, hit that mark in your heart and reassure you. And I know if you've gone to the declarations that I've put on our podcast, I talk at the very beginning of those two declarations: I choose trust and I choose love. I talk very briefly about the power of your voice speaking the truth out loud where your brain can hear it. It literally creates a pathway of thought, an option for thinking and feeling something different when your brain hears your voice speak something out loud. So when you feel that fear rise up in you, or you identify that it's a fear below the surface, go to that tool and speak out loud to yourself what the truth is. Partner with God, partner with Holy Spirit, and let your mouth tell your heart where to go. So it's as easy as literally parenting yourself. I'm trying to think of a concrete example. Uh, I'm afraid that my child is going to make a decision that's going to hurt their heart, their life, and therefore mine. And then you tell yourself out loud, you know what? God's got this. God is with my child. God is ever present. In fact, that child is loved more by Him than even by me. So I can trust you. And you'll literally feel your body begin to just like settle into that place of trust. Love, trust follows love. Trust follows love. And love comes rushing in when we allow it to places of fear. All right, so um, the verse that I want to highlight today is John 13:34. And I want to describe to you the context of this verse before I read it to you. Jesus had lived this amazing life, and he was in the upper room with his 12 disciples. At this point, if I'm remembering correctly, at this point in the conversation, Judas, who betrayed him, had already left. And so he's in this very intimate environment with the 11 men that he has poured literally his whole Godhead into. He loved and adored them. He felt so much compassion for them. And he knew he was about to go to the cross, and he knew what they were about to face. So much contradiction, so much mystery, so much pain and grief and confusion. Like, what the heck? Like, we thought you were here to be king, to rule and reign, and you just died on us. Everything that we thought to be true, the power that we'd seen you operate in. And so this stirred in Jesus, obviously, a few things. I'm speculating here. But clearly, he was going to continue doing what he'd done all along, and that's do whatever the Father told him to do. So what he's about to say, the Father wanted him to say. And another thing, he felt compassion. He wanted this to be something that would sustain them, that would encourage them if they thought about his last words to them. He also knew that once he would resurrect, they would come back to this night and remember and go, wow, this is what he was actually meaning, because he knew he was about to lay his life down and then be resurrected for us. So the words that he spoke to them that night at the table, and the song that I'm going to give you today is a worship song by Jason Upton, Love is a Winding Road. It uses this phrase in it, the table of love. So they were sitting down, feasting together at the table of love. It's the same table that we come to when we come to in communion. When we take communion and we remember Jesus and we remember his body and his blood, it is the table of love. And John 13:34, Jesus' incredibly powerful and very intentional words to them are still the words that he's speaking to you and me today. And there are many verses I could have read, but this kind of is the one that summed them all up. John 13:34, a new commandment I give to you. So they've been listening the 3 years they've been with him morning and night. They'd heard him speak of, the Pharisees would challenge him and say, what's the greatest commandment? Can you pick out which is the greatest of the 10 commandments? Trying to set him up to make a mistake and to prove that he wasn't God. And here he is. He's saying, I have a new commandment for you. So these words were very controversial for him to be solidifying once more to them, I am God. Only God can give a new commandment. There had been for hundreds of years only the 10 commandments and commandments that he had given the Israelites. So here he was, God in the flesh, saying, I've got a new one for you. And he says, love each other. When I think of all the things that he could have said to them, he says, love each other. By this, all will know you're my disciples. All will know that you're my disciples. And what to me is so powerful about that is Jesus had the same goal for them, for us, that he had for himself. He wanted them and us to live in such a way that it would point people to the Father. Jesus lived his life not just to lay it down for us to cover our sin for eternity, but he lived in a way to let us as humanity finally see and know the true, real heart of God. So when we talk about the I choose love declaration, the next phrase in there, because I told you this week and all of January, we're going to take that 1 Corinthians 13 line by line. And in the declaration, before I get into 1 Corinthians 13, I make this statement that I made yesterday, I live intentionally. So I live to know the real him, to make the real him known, to learn to love and be loved. Yesterday we talked about to learn to love and be loved. And today I want to highlight that other phrase. I live to know the real him, to make the real him known. Again, we cannot display what we have not seen. We can't reflect what we're not looking at. Habakkuk 2:14 tells us what the end of everything is all about. It's all about the knowledge of the glory of God filling the earth as the water covers the sea. What is the glory of God? Moses asked to see his glory. His glory was, in the most simplest terms, his goodness. All the ways that he's good, that he loves us, that he cares. And so when we talk about knowing God, there is no greater effort. There is no greater purpose to be alive, to have this earthly experience, than to grow in our knowledge of God. And what we know of him, we will, just by overflow, we will reflect of him. We will make known of him. One of the things that we know about God is that he loves the world. He loves every single one of us the same. The most broken ones, the ones who have partnered with evil the most, he loves the same as he loves you and he loves me. And that's what he's asking us to do. That's what he asked the disciples to do. Love each other. That is the new commandment. Love each other. And I remember watching the Passion movie, and if you've ever seen it, it ends, I'm not giving anything away because you all know he resurrects from the dead, but it ends with him standing up in the tomb right after he gives this long speech conversation to his disciples in the upper room. Love each other and lay your lives down for each other. And it felt so impossible in that moment when I watched that movie, The Passion. I could identify with everyone in the movie except for Jesus, like the level of love that he had and that he has for us. The Trinity is this love affair. I don't know that, I don't want to cheapen it, but that's the only word I know to use it. It's this swirl of love, this complete perfect love, made perfect love that is fully matured. And we're going to get into that when we get into 1 Corinthians 13, because it describes to us what fully matured love looks like. So let's just adore the Father together now. God, you are love, and we look at you as the author, the source, the very essence of love itself. And we allow that love to hit its mark in our hearts right now. And we still ourselves, we quiet ourselves under this weighty, comforting blanket of your love. We thank you for that love that just settles heavy on us. We thank you for that love that is literally sustaining our very breath. It's sustaining our world right now. Thank you for your care and compassion. Thank you that you know what each one of us has been through and will go through, and love is already there waiting for us. We never have to look for it. We just have to receive it and let it in. Teach us how to let it in. Teach us to fear less, to trust more. And I just declare over you today, that you have the heart of a reformer. You are one who loves radically and extravagantly. You are one who trusts deeply and profoundly. You are one who doesn't hold offense. And you notice when fear creeps in and you exchange it immediately for perfect love. So, again, if you haven't watched the intro video, I encourage you to do that. Please like and share on whatever platform you're experiencing this. And today the song is, again, Love is a Winding Road by Jason Upton. He is not a typical worship leader, at least not in some of his more recent albums. And this is one of those, it's kind of like a folk song. You're going to enjoy it, and it'll give you some lyrics that you're going to want to kind of chew on and meditate on. And it might even encourage you, provoke you to want to sit down and just take communion today, either with your family or by yourself, and allow the Lord to meet you at the table of love.